Rejoice, rejoice. Emmanuel shall come to thee. I love the readings today. Actually, I love the reading today. We're going to do it 3 times. We did it as the psalm because we can choose to sometimes do a canticle, another song. That's all a psalm is. It's a song. And there are so many songs in Scripture. And then we heard it again at the gospel. That song of Mary. And the last song that we're going to sing is one of my favorite paraphrases of that song of Mary. You know, the Christmas song, Mary, did you know? There's a meme going around on Facebook about it. Because Mary knew. Mary knew. The angel Gabriel comes to Mary and announces this kind of insane thing, except that that's how God works. God has worked through the nobodies of the world, throughout the history of God. I don't know if you guys have actually taken a look at this icon that I put up here at the beginning of Advent. This icon was painted for me by a friend of mine and a nun. And it represents kind of my journey about Mary. Because I grew up in a tradition where Mary is everywhere. I grew up in the Russian Orthodox Church, and for Russians there are 2 saints that matter. Saint Nicholas and the Theotokos, the Virgin Mary. Jesus matters too. But it's Saint Nicholas and the Virgin Mary. They are by far the 2 most popular saints. And Mary is the Mary of the meek and the mild. We sang about it in that first hymn. Meekly and mildly, she accepts what the angel Gabriel asks of her. Not only do we sort of lose the sense of where Mary actually makes a choice. Mary chooses. God offers Mary a choice. And this has been true in the theology of the church for as long as it is written, because it's a little bit horrific to actually think of Mary as sort of not having an option. Mary has an option. Mary is invited by God to enter into God's salvation in a unique and particular way, and Mary ponders it in her heart as she should, and she says yes. And then what does she do? When it happens, when she discovers she's pregnant, she goes to her cousin Elizabeth. She goes to another woman who is also pregnant with an unlikely child. Remember John the Baptist of last week? The child that no one really wants to have, because surely it would have been difficult to raise John the Baptist, who ends up in the desert eating bugs, wearing hair shirts, and telling people that they're vipers and broods of snakes and they need to repent. That's not a child that's easy to handle. Mary goes to her cousin, and the child in Elizabeth's womb, John, leaps for joy at the mere news of her arrival. And Elizabeth says, "This is amazing. The salvation of our God is coming." And Mary sings a song of salvation that has been sung for centuries. It is not the song of the meek and the mild. It is the song, if you look at this icon carefully, it is a song of Esther. Esther is a woman married, well, one of the many wives, to a king who is about to slaughter all of her people. And she is beautiful. And so Esther, because she is a beautiful woman, and she knows that she can turn her husband's head, as it can be, uses that ability to convince her husband that perhaps genocide is not the best way to handle the situation. That's the story of Esther. It is the song of Miriam. The people have been slaves for generations, and they are led out of Egypt by Moses. They are caught between Egypt danced before the Lord. Miriam leads her people in worship. It is the story of Judith. It's not a story we get very often. It's actually in the Apocrypha. I mentioned it a couple months ago, I think, at this point. Judith is a judge. The book of Judges, Judith is one of those. She gets her own book. She says to her embattled friends in the city, she says, I've got a battle plan for us. And they're like, yeah, whatever. You don't have a battle plan. She says, no, really, I have a battle plan. Here's what you need to do. She lays out for them what it is that they're supposed to do. And then that night, because she too is a beautiful woman, sneaks into the enemy camp that is surrounding her city, seduces the lead general, gets him drunk, and then promptly cuts his head off. Not a pretty story. But the result is that the Persian armies are so terrified when they wake to see the head of their general on a pole over the city that they have been attacking, that they just dissolve in fear. Mary sings the song of a people who understand what it is to be subjugated. One of the things that we lose in Christmas with all this beauty, and we'll sing Silent Night tomorrow night at Christmas Eve, but one of the things we sometimes lose is that Jesus was born in a time of conflict. A revolution had recently happened. The whole reason that they are in Bethlehem, that a pregnant woman close to term is forced to ride a donkey across the desert, is because they have to go submit their names to the government so they can be taxed properly. How many of you like that? And the king is so threatened because there has been a recent revolt. The king, Herod, a representative of the much larger Roman government, is so threatened that he issues an order that says that all boys under 2, all Jewish boys under 2 shall be killed. Because he doesn't really know the age of this baby that is about to be born, or maybe has been born, and he has them killed. Jesus does not come into a time of peace, of sweet little angels singing and fat cherubs in the sky. Jesus comes into a world full of violence, a world full of leaders who grandstand about who they are and what they can do, of governments in constant conflict with one another, of war going back and forth. A world in which not everyone was treated with dignity, where slavery was the norm, certainly not the kind of slavery that we have experienced in the United States, but the kind of violence that we experience now. That is the world into which Jesus was born, with all the fear and the anxiety. And so when Mary hears that she will be the fulfillment of the prophecies of Israel and all the prophets, her response is amazing. Her response is to sing in joy and to remind us that the mountains of injustice and the valleys of the shadow of death, they will be leveled, so that all people will be treated with dignity. All people will be respected. That is the vision of God into which all of us are called. In this icon, Mary has on her breast or in her womb, the interpretations vary, Jesus. Jesus is surrounded by the mandala of blue eternal light. That's what blue means in icons, is eternity. Mary holds in her womb the beginning and the end of the world. The one who in the beginning, that's actually the reading that we're going to hear Christmas Day. In the beginning was the Word. Mary holds in her womb the beginning. And she holds the end. An end that does not end up with one nation in power. An end that results in a world where all are treated with dignity. way. We celebrate Christmas because we are the bearers of God in the world. Simeon the New Theologian, a mystic and a monk and an abbot from the East, Meister Eckhart, the famous German mystic, John of the Cross, all of them have beautiful images in which they remind us, and given who they were writing to, remember, they're actually mostly reminding men. We are the wombs of God. We bear Jesus in our lives. We don't bear Jesus into a world full of peace. We bear Jesus into a world full of tension and anxiety, of national and international stress and family difficulties. Christmas is that time. We love and we hate. We love our families, we hate our families. It all comes out at Christmas. We bear Jesus into the world we are actually in. Not a pretend world filled with light and candles and angels, but a world